together? Y'all don't like each other?
Oh, they watch? Y'all watch my parts?
They hear, oh, yeah, when I'm home, when they don't love me well. They came in together, then they come back. Oh, okay. Like Diana Ross and Beyonce started all the way. They try to both tell me to sit here, then I'm like, well, I'm trying to sit together.
All right, let's see. We got a few more folks coming in. Awesome.
As you come in, council side about everybody else.
All right, let's see what we got going on here. Okay, we got some officers here. Miss Patton, you know which officers on which cases?
Yep, except for the one who just walked in.
So it looks like Christopher Carter at number 2 was released.
Are you was okay, okay. Or Christopher Carter, you said was released?
Position 2, he's released.
Okay, because that officer actually is on a call. He was running late, so.
Oh, okay. I guess Investigator Pauls can probably call and tell him
Okay,
not to worry about it. Yeah, because that one person's out on bond.
okay.
We have the officer here for Cornelius Broughton, position 1.
Yes.
That officer's here. What about for Donnell Pierce? Well, there's 2 Donnell Pierce cases.
For position 3, yes, he's here. And for Donnell Pierce for position 5, I just texted Investigator Pauls. It's the same
Oh, that,
only for 4, 5, 6, and 7.
he was at Grady previously, yeah. And what about the officer for position 8, Christopher White?
I can text about that one.
And then 9 is Demetrius Orbister.
It's Detective Flores. He's here.
Okay. Who's it? All right, well, I guess we got. Is Mr. Olaf's not here yet? No? Okay. So she texting to figure out where that officer is
Yes, Your
that
Honor.
was at Grady last time, transporting somebody at Grady.
Yes,
So
Your Honor.
we don't have Mr. Olaf here. We have Miss Bumpus for Mr. Broughton.
Okay, that's the officer who, this is his off day, so if we could do that one first, that would be
Sure.
preferable.
Who's here for Cornelius Broughton? Come on up. Miss Bumpus.
Sergeant Williams.
Yes,
Whoever's here
Judge.
for-
Whoever's here first.
All right.
All right.
Do you want to bring out Cornelius Broughton?
Is the officer not here, Judge?
No, he's here.
Sergeant Williams.
Yeah, come on up. Yeah, he's here.
May I go to the,
Sure.
and I'm just sliding over here because working on the table is easier than
Oh,
balancing this on my lap.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. Cornelius Broughton, right, position 1. All right, you raise, there you go. You raise your right hand. You swear affirm testimony you're about to give is truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, if you have a seat, sit down, state your name, spell it for the court reporter.
Name is Sergeant R. Williams, Williams.
All right, if you stand by till we get Mr. Broughton out here. Nine, okay.
Let's come up here after the bathroom. I'm sorry, I won't have gone my whole break, but as soon as I get up here, it's time.
Mr. Broughton, if you have a seat and look at the computer, you'll see Miss Bumpus right there in the pink. Your lawyer, you see her? Okay, all right, all right. This is 22 CP 209084 Cornelius Broughton, 731 days without indictment. There's a $20,000 good bond as of May the 8th. We got aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and possession of a knife during the commission of a felony. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Thank you, Your Honor. Hello, Sergeant Williams.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Where are you currently employed?
With the Fulton County Sheriff's Office,
And how long have you been employed there?
over 7 years.
Okay. Were you employed there on or about May 13th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Okay. And how did you become aware of the defendant in this case?
I was assigned as the investigator of this incident at the jail, Fulton County Jail, located at 901 Rice Street, Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. So Fulton County Jail, 901 Rice Street. So you said you were assigned to investigate this incident. What happened?
An assault took place involving the shank. The shank is a handmade weapon fashioned out of a hard material. In it, according to the footage that I viewed, I saw a fight involving 3 inmates. One was chasing another around the room, around the zone, and it commenced with stabbing.
Okay. So you said you're watching footage of 3 inmates. They were all running around the room. What was melee? What was happening exactly?
Yes. Would you like me to state the names?
Oh, sure, please.
Okay. At one portion of the video is Cornelius Broughton and another inmate by the name of Dylan Collins. They were chasing each other around the zone. And then once they got by the front of the zone, which is where the entrance is, another inmate by the name of, I'm sorry, I'm referring to my notes here, Joshua Montgomery became involved as well.
Okay, so you just said you're referring to your notes. What notes are you referring to?
This is my investigatory findings. This is an internal report that we do to place charges on inmates. These can be jail violations as well as criminal charges.
Were those submitted for evidence, or are they typically submitted for evidence?
I'm not certain on that. They are available to anyone who needs to pull them. So I would presume yes.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned the defendant, Mr. Broughton, and what exactly did you see him do?
All right. You mind if I read from my notes?
Yes, to refresh your memory, and then
Okay.
testify when you're ready.
All right. No problem.
And Ms. Bumpus, it looks like this charge in particular has been in 395 days.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
Your Honor, do you mind if I take off my jacket?
No, sure, it's hot. If anyone else is hot, you can feel free to take off your jacket. It's a little, can't help you guys,
Yeah,
but
right,
yeah,
right.
it is warm in here.
Okay, I viewed the security footage. I saw the fight break out. There are 2 staircases in the zones. The fight goes around the first staircase, then it ends at the back of the second staircase. I was able to identify the inmates involved, and then I conducted one-on-one interviews with each of the inmates. And when I asked Mr. Broughton what happened, he was initially reluctant to speak to me. But he told me that that inmate Collins came into the zone a couple days prior and was bullying everyone and trying to intimidate the other inmates. And he would go to different cells and demand different things, saying that nobody is going to mess with me. And so when I asked Mr. Broughton how the fight broke out, Mr. Broughton told me that Mr. Collins was over by the phones and was messing with him. And that's when he felt he had to defend himself. And that's,
Did he explain what defend himself meant?
well, he didn't have to. I saw the footage. I saw the assault occur. So he didn't necessarily have to tell me.
Okay. So let's go back here a little bit. You said you started watching the footage. I believe you said, and forgive me for asking twice, what led you to have to look at the footage?
I was instructed by a lieutenant to investigate an incident.
Okay, so you knew an incident had occurred.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and does the footage tell you what date or what time?
It does.
Okay, and you got the information based upon that from where?
The initial report was began by another officer named Emmanuel Barnum. They were working the tower. I'm not sure if you're familiar how the zone or the jail set up. There are 2 levels, and the top level, there is a tower officer who can look down into the zone. So their job is to be the eyes and the ears of the zone to help protect the officers working the floor. So that tower officer witnessed an altercation breakout, and that officer issued a help call in which other officers responded to assist the officer on the floor.
Okay, so the help call, did it involve 2 inmates, an inmate and an officer? Did they say?
It said that the 901, 902, 903 doors were open and available officers entered, and the inmates were escorted to medical. So officers intervened.
Okay, but the original issue was between 2 inmates.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, you said the incident ended in a stabbing. Did you see who was holding, I believe you referred to it as a shank. Did you see who was holding that?
Mr. Broughton.
Okay. You saw Mr. Broughton on the CT footage?
Correct.
Would you be able to recognize him today?
Yes, I knew him prior to this incident.
Is he in the courtroom currently?
You can stand up. Yeah.
Yes.
Please identify whether he's on my left or my right and with an article of clothing.
Okay. Mr. Broughton is standing to your right. He has on a navy blue Fulton County issued top with a white shirt underneath.
Please let the record reflect that the witness has identified defendant Cornelius Broughton.
All right, record will so reflect.
Okay, so you're watching the video. You said that there was a fight before that, you said they were chasing each other.
Correct.
Is there any audio on this video footage?
No, ma'am.
Is it black and white? Is it in color?
It is, goodness, it's hard to say. It's bad resolution. It's an older system. I believe it is in color. I'm sorry, I don't have it here to reflect. We've now upgraded to a new system.
Maybe like a sepia tone? Is that more
Yes,
accurate? Okay. But you were able to identify Mr. Broughton from this video.
correct.
And that is because you said you've had previous interactions with him?
Yes, I was once the supervisor assigned to floor 5 South, in which he was an inmate in one of those zones.
How many times, and if you're going to have to guess, would you say you've seen Mr. Broughton?
Oh, my goodness.
Over 50?
Yes,
Over 100?
quite possibly.
Okay. You recognize him,
Yes,
safe to say.
yes,
So even in this video that you said was a little grainy, were you able to recognize him?
yes. We make positive identifications based upon these videos quite frequently.
All right. So did the victim in this case end up having to go to Grady?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. He just went to medical, you said?
Correct.
What were his injuries?
I'll refer back to my notes here. It appears that he had cuts and bruises.
Did they identify where?
I don't have that in my records here. I'm certain the medical providers have a documentation reflecting that.
Did you ever speak to the victim after the incident?
Yes, I did.
And what did the victim tell you?
He was basically worried about where he would be reassigned. And I couldn't quite understand why he was so concerned about where he was going to be placed. But throughout my investigation, it became clear that though he was the victim, he was the initial aggressor.
Did he ever identify the defendant?
No, ma'am. Not in speaking with me. But there again, that identification didn't need to be established to me because I saw the footage.
Did you ever talk to Mr. Broughton about the event? I know you said that he had to defend himself. Did he state specifically to you that he had stabbed anyone?
No, ma'am, he did not.
Did he say that he had hit anyone?
No, ma'am.
Did he say that he had threatened anyone?
No, ma'am.
Did he say that someone was threatening him?
Yes.
And who is that?
Inmate Dylan Collins.
Can you please go ahead and spell Dylan Collins for the record?
Yes, ma'am. Last name Collins. First name is Daylyne.
Okay, and that's pronounced Dylan?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you need a booking number associated with this inmate?
No, not at this time. Thank you, though.
Mhm.
Okay, so you also mentioned another person. You said Joshua Montgomery was involved.
Correct.
Did you speak to Mr. Montgomery?
I did.
What did he indicate to you?
He said that he saw his friend, Mr. Broughton, involved in an altercation, and he came over to help him out because Mr. Broughton was a smaller guy.
Okay. Did he say that he saw Mr. Broughton stab anyone?
No, ma'am.
He just said he was in an altercation
Correct.
and he came to help out.
Yes.
Did he tell you what he did?
He did not. I saw it.
What did he do?
He got involved in the fight, and it was 2 versus 1.
Physically?
Yes.
Did Mr. Montgomery, from your viewing of the footage, did he stab anyone?
No, ma'am.
Did you see a gun in his, or gun, I'm sorry, any sort of weapon in his hand?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Okay. You only saw the shank in Mr. Broughton's hand?
Correct.
Did you take out warrants on Mr. Broughton?
I did not.
Okay. Did you submit a report for warrants to be taken out on him?
I submitted this investigatory report to the jail, and based upon it, a warrant was taken out.
Okay. Are you post-certified?
I am.
Were you post-certified at that time?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Did Mr. Broughton at any time indicate to you, other than this fight had started and he needed to defend himself, why he would have stabbed the victim in this case?
I think it was based upon the intimidation of inmate Collins. As he stated to me, he came into the zone, was bullying people, basically trying to, it happens quite frequently in jail. A bigger inmate will come to the zone and throw his weight around and demand commissary items or other items of value in the jail. And when basically inmate Collins tried it again, you know, he felt he had to defend himself.
Is this the first jail incident you've investigated?
No, ma'am.
How many would you say you've done approximately?
Over 2,000.
Jail incidents?
Yes.
Wow. So you're familiar with jail incidents and how to investigate them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there anything else that you learned during your investigation regarding this defendant that we haven't covered here today?
Only that I truly felt he felt in fear of his life from Mr. Collins, and that a one-on-one match would not have ended well for him. So he felt he had to use the weapon.
Did he have any injuries?
I do not recall at this time.
Okay.
All of them were taken to medical and all of them were cleared to return to the floor.
Okay. Do you know if they were separated after? Or-
Absolutely. That's protocol. They
Okay.
can't be returned to the same area.
So they wouldn't need to see each other again.
In a perfect world, no, but this is a confined space with limited cells. So it's possible their paths may cross again.
Okay. All right, Your Honor, nothing further for this witness at this time.
Ms. Bumpus.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, did you say my name?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Okay, I just have a few questions for you. So did you ever recover the shank?
That was not a portion of my job. I became aware of this incident after the fact, on the next shift that it occurred on. So I'm not certain if that shank was recovered or not, as other officers came to respond to the floor.
Okay, but you're not aware of it being recovered.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for that. And then also you mentioned that the alleged victim appeared to be the aggressor. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and could you give me a little more information on why you felt that way?
Based upon speaking with Mr. Broughton, he told me how Mr. Collins came into the zone. I'm going to look down my report if you don't mind. According to Mr. Broughton, he was bullying and trying to intimidate other inmates. He told me that inmate Collins would go into different cells and demand different things, saying things such as, "Ain't nobody going to mess with me," and things to that effect.
Okay, and based off of what you viewed, I guess, on this camera footage, how were you able to determine that my client was in possession of a weapon?
I saw it. I'm familiar with what a weapon inside the jail looks like. I'm familiar with
Okay.
what Mr. Broughton looks like. I saw it in his hand.
Okay, and could you describe what it looked like?
It was a metal object, linear in shape, reminiscent of a long nail.
Okay, and I'm sorry, did you finish answering my question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I don't want to cut you off. Okay, and do you have a copy of that camera footage?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Okay, and is that camera footage in color?
It's a degraded color, almost faded, if you will. It's closed circuit video footage, so if you can imagine the quality of that. So color, yes, but a faded color.
Okay, did anybody attempt to go see what happened to this alleged shank?
That I am not aware of, as I am coming into knowledge of this after the fact. I was not directly involved with the recovery or even, for that matter, the separation of the inmates. So I did not respond to the incident. I only investigated it after the fact.
Okay, and from that video surveillance, I mean, what happens with the shank when the incident is over? I mean, is it thrown? What happens?
Many officers entered the zone. I'm not certain if the weapon was dropped, if it was taken by another officer, if the weapon was passed off to another inmate. I have no knowledge of what happened to the weapon after the fact.
Okay, so could you give me a little more information on? So do you see him use the shank?
Yes.
Okay, and then what happens? You just stop watching the video, or what happens?
No,
next?
I didn't stop watching the video. I saw it through to the conclusion. They continued to fight. The weapon was used by Mr. Cornelius in the midst of the fight. Eventually, the fight is broken up by officers coming into the zone, and that's when it ended.
But you don't see what happens to this alleged weapon.
No, okay,
Objection,
so-
Your Honor, asked and answered. He said about 3 times he doesn't know what happened to the shank.
Ask and answered. Move on, Ms. Bumpus.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, anything else from the state?
No, not for this witness.
All right, anything else? Thank you, sir. Stay safe out there.
Thank you.
I do have another witness I would like to call if Your Honor.
On this
is so
case?
inclined. Yes.
Okay,
That would be Deputy Johnson.
all right, Deputy Johnson, come on up. All right, you raise your right hand. Do you swear a firm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, if you state your name, spell for the court reporter.
My name is Jacoby Johnson, Jacobi, Johnson, JOHNSON.
May I proceed?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, Deputy Johnson. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. Where are you currently employed?
Fulton County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been with the sheriff's office?
Approximately 2.5 years.
Were you at the sheriff's office on or about May 13th, 2022?
Yes.
Okay. Were you at the sheriff's office on or about May 14th, 2022?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you become aware of the defendant in this case?
I was told by my lieutenant that an incident took place on 4 South, Zone 400. And he wanted me to swear out the warrants. And I was informed by Sergeant Williams that he spoke to Cornelius Broughton and others that was involved, which would be Joshua Montgomery and Daylene Collins. He stated that he saw Cornelius Broughton on the footage stab Daylene Collins.
Okay. So you're saying Daylene Collins. Spell what the first name.
Hold on 1 second. Refer back to the report for the spelling. All right, first name Daylene, Daylyne.
Okay. So previously, Sergeant Williams said that this name was pronounced Dylan, but used the same spelling. Is this the only person that you know with this name or spelling?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So you're pronouncing it differently, but same spelling.
Yes, I don't know the correct pronunciation for his name.
Okay, fair enough. Is it typical for a lieutenant to ask another officer who wasn't there to swear out a warrant?
Yes.
Why is that?
Sometimes in the jail, we have detention officers and everyone's not a deputy. So in that case, a deputy gets involved and I end up swearing out the warrants.
Okay, so only deputies can swear out warrants?
Yes.
Okay. You spoke to Sergeant Williams about the incident?
Yes.
Did he give you any more information other than his report had listed?
No.
Based upon his report, you have charged Mr. Broughton with aggravated assault and possession of a knife during commission of a felony. Did you charge him those based upon the information that you learned from Sergeant Williams' report and conversation with Sergeant Williams about the incident?
Yes.
Did you yourself ever look at the footage?
No, I wasn't able to.
Okay. Why aren't you able to?
I didn't have access at the moment. They wouldn't let me see it for some reason.
Okay. How did Sergeant Williams identify the defendant to you?
He gave me, the name, and I was able to pull him up.
Okay.
He's the only one in jail with that name.
So, in jail, and forgive me for not knowing, their names and associated with those names are booking numbers?
Yes.
Okay, so if someone gives you a name, it will pull up their booking number.
Yes, that's correct.
Can inmates trade booking numbers or trade anything, information like that?
No.
Do they ever give a description of the inmates?
Description?
Like a physical description of the inmates, or is it a picture?
It's a picture.
Okay. And did you ever take a look at the picture of the defendant who was accused in this case?
Yes.
Would you recognize him if you saw him today?
Yes.
Is he in the courtroom?
Yes.
Please identify whether he is on my left or on my right and with an article of clothing.
All right. He's on your right-hand side with a navy blue jumpsuit, white t-shirt up underneath.
Court, take notice, please, that this witness has identified the defendant, Cornelius Broughton.
All right, record will so reflect.
Okay, and this incident that you swore out warrants for, where did this occur?
It happened at the Fulton County Jail on the 4th floor.
That's here in Fulton County?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Are you post-certified?
I am.
Were you post-certified at the time of the incident?
Yes.
Is there anything else that you learned from this investigation, your conversation with Sergeant Williams, and your swearing out of these warrants that we haven't covered here today?
No.
Nothing further.
All right, Cross.
Your Honor, I don't have any questions for this witness.
All right, thank you. Stay safe out there. All right, go ahead with argument. Go ahead, Ms.
Me?
Bumpus.
Me?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, yes, Your Honor, I would just ask that no probable cause be found for aggravated assault or possession of a weapon, based on the fact that the officer testified that he believed the alleged victim was the initial aggressor, and my client was simply defending himself, because he had no choice to. Also, the officer testified that there was no weapon recovered, and he doesn't know what happened to the weapon, that he just witnessed something on the closed circuit video footage, which could have been anything. We don't have any actual evidence, even though I know the standard is low here. I would still ask that no probable cause be found. There were several officers, several people that could have obtained this weapon if there was in fact a weapon. And like I said, as it goes to the aggravated assault, the officer testified himself. He made it a point to say that he believed that the alleged victim was the initial aggressor, and specifically stated that he believed that my client wouldn't have had a chance against him in a one-on-one fight. Based on that testimony, I would ask that there would be no probable cause found.
All right, what says the state?
Yes, Your Honor. In addressing the alleged victim being allegedly the aggressor, that is not a matter for a preliminary hearing. The officer very much testified to the fact that there was a stabbing that took place. Both officers testified to that, one of which who watched the actual CT footage. He identified the defendant in this case. Venue was established, and again, a positive ID was made by both of my witnesses, both by Sergeant Williams and Deputy Johnson. At this time, the state would ask that there is probable cause to move forward with both the charges of aggravated assault and possession of a knife or firearm during commission of a felony.
All right, I'll find probable cause of both. Ms. Bumpus, as of May 13th, there's a $20,000 good bond. We'll address bond.
Yes, defendant has a total of 33 cycles. He has a possession of cocaine with intent to distribute in 2005, a purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, or sale of marijuana in 2005, a possession of cocaine in 2005. He has 3 failure to appears in 2005. He has a burglary conviction in 2010, a theft by shoplifting in 2019. He has 2 failure to appears in 2019 and 2020. He also has 1 cycle out of Texas, and that was for theft of property, and that conviction was in 2017. And nothing further for the defendant.
Go ahead, Ms. Bumpus. You're on mute, Ms. Bumpus.
Yeah, and I would just ask that, based off the amount of time that my client has been in custody, that his bond be lowered. I guess he has a 20,000. I would ask for 5,000 on each count, and if the court is inclined, an ankle monitor. But he hasn't been able to make a $20,000 bond. He's been in custody. The state hasn't indicted, and I just ask that the court consider that.
All right. Go. What says the state?
Your Honor, sorry, one quick thing. I said Texas, I meant to say Tennessee.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
What says the state?
Your Honor, this defendant does have a bond such as his right. The state would ask that you not lower the bond. If Your Honor is inclined to lower the bond above the state's objection, we ask that it be no less than, Ms. Bumpus, did you say 5,000 per charge or 5,000 in total?
Per charge.
Okay, that it be no less than 5,000 in total as recommended by the defense. We also would ask that an ankle monitor to be put in place with a 24-hour curfew with the exceptions of medical, legal, childcare, and basic life necessities. No further contact so much as possible with the victim in this case. I understand that it is not in his control where he goes in the jail, but as much as possible.
All right. Let's see. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. That includes in the jail, no weapons. No further contact with Collins, Lyne or Dalen Collins. Also, you have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working in, basic life necessities. So make it $5,000 per account for a total of $10,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
What's that?
Yeah. That's it for me, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. Have a good evening.
Thank you. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have the officer here for the 4, 5, 6, and 7?
No, Your Honor, but I did text, I have some. Oh, in training from 6:12 to 6:16.
Where's Ms. Oh, there's Ms.
I'm here, Judge. This is the second time we're here on this case.
So do all these have a bond?
I know my client has a bond. I can't speak to the others.
I don't think, I have number 5 now. He doesn't. That one.
Ms. Paul, all right, let's see. Okay, so
And-
when's
and
this
I'm
training
here, Your
over?
Honor. I'm sorry.
I'm looking that up right
Okay.
now. 6:16.
Okay, so okay, he's in training. That's legit, but he was at Grady, but this is gonna have to be the last one because, come on.
Understand.
I have Brown.
All right, I mean, we can address bond on everybody, but this will be the final reset. He's not the only deputy. I mean, he has to go train, but 6:16, what does it look like? Miss, y'all have your, Miss Paul, make sure you open up your, and Mr. Olaf, well.
Yeah,
Mr. Olaf
Mr.
will be
and
here in
then again, I
July. So what's her date?
Third at 9 a.m.
Ms. Correa, Ms. Paul?
And Your Honor, if I may, we have proof that the officer is actually in training today?
Yeah, because last time he was taking somebody to
Yeah,
Grady.
he was at Grady.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would actually like proof for both of those, Your Honor.
I'm sure he can get us something, but are we gonna sit here and wait on it?
No, I'm just saying that way.
Yeah, if you can't get it
Yeah.
today, but get it to us next time, because we'll definitely take that in consideration at the next hearing. June 23rd, does that work for you, Ms. Correa?
That is a Friday morning, correct? Or is this going to be afternoon?
Friday morning, 9 a.m.
It's a Friday morning at 9 a.m., Ms. Paul.
That works for me, Your Honor.
Mr. Olive?
This Friday,
Next Friday.
Yeah, the 23rd.
one moment.
Judge, the 23rd does not work for me. I'm actually going out of the country that day.
All these people on vacation. Okay.
And then, so my vacation will be the first week of July. If
Must
we're-
be nice.
Right.
No.
But I can always send somebody else from my office. Don't let me hold up the court, or Mr. Love.
It's the same one that I have also, right?
So,
Multi-co-defendant.
I have another preliminary hearing that morning, Your Honor.
Oh, I meant to.
That
right,
with Judge
see.
Drake. Can we do that afternoon, perhaps?
so what do we have after that? I know Mr. Olive's going to be gone for the month of July as he's studying for another bar.
Hey,
God.
yeah.
I don't think you could pay me enough money to.
Ms.
take
Paul, when will you be back?
I'll be back on the 28th.
And see, then that's when I skedaddle. But again, I can send somebody else from my office.
Are you sure? I mean, because we can,
I have faith in all my colleagues.
All right. So you'll be back on the 28th?
I come back on the 27th, so I'll be able to show up to court on the 28th.
All right, what we have, Miss what? June 28th, 9 a.m.
Oh, boy, oh, boy.
I'll actually be gone, but Ms. Rondon.
Mr. Olive's like, I don't care. I'm studying for the bar. That'll be in London.
Okay,
Believe me,
real
I'd
talk,
rather be in court, Judge.
you could not pay me enough money to take another bar exam.
No, if I can't wave in.
You know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, well,
it's not for me. If I can't wait.
That's what I told my partner. He's got to make 7 figures if he wants me to leave the state.
Right.
yeah.
How's it look
I'd
for
rather
you?
pack up, and move to another state, to be honest, but
Does that day work for you, council?
28?
9
Not really, but I think I might be able to make, what's 9 a.m. you think?
9 a.m. I mean, if you're somewhere, I mean, you can zoom in. You can zoom. There's a new, but it's a new link. Well, by then the afternoon will be a new link. So
Yeah, if I can zoom, I'll be fine.
we'll send out the new link. Yeah, because there's for some reason,
If I
there's
pack a coat and shirt and tie.
Right, all right. So it's June 28th at 9 a.m. That works, Ms. Paul. And we'll also, if the, because I know the morning link changed, and we just sent out a new one. So the afternoon link, if it changes by then, we'll send out a new Zoom link.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
You want us to bring them out and tell them? Do y'all have
Yeah, I
enough?
would like-
Yeah, well, I mean.
Y'all have enough yet? Just bring 4, 5, 6, and 7 all out at one time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Y'all can just, you can just stand them right there. You don't have to like walk them on them. What's that? 4, 5, it's Brown, Pierce, Keith, and Love.
And Judge, if I may, can we be heard on bond? My client doesn't have a bond.
Okay, wait a minute, let me see who else.
I believe the last time we were in court, my client and Mr. Olaf's client did have bond hearings, but.
We did. Yeah, I don't think the other client had been assigned an attorney.
All right, so bring it. Well, you can bring them all out, and then we'll take Pierce and Love back, and we'll keep Brown and Keith out here and do their bond here. Okay, so why don't you bring Brown and Love out here first, because we'll just tell them to just reset.
Mr. Olaf, what bar are you taking?
I mean, not Brown, I'm sorry, Pierce and Love, I'm sorry. Yeah, Pierce and Love, my bad.
Georgia, I'm licensed in another state right now and practicing under a provisional license in Georgia. So I have to take the Georgia bar to remain employed.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good reason.
Yeah, at least in Georgia.
Do you just have to do the essays or are they making you do the whole shebang?
Well, I'm gonna do the whole thing because.
Oh, my God.
Well, I did the multiple choice is what carried me last time, so.
You could not pay me to. Another
But I write, I'm a good writer, but I can't process it that quick and rip out essays, you know, as fast as it requires. So,
I'll be in Georgia for the rest of my life to try to take another bar.
Oh, I made you do it. But just say it was like,
Well,
I made you do it
are you almost
because it
5
was
years?
so long or something.
Chris Manning.
Great. What's your name, sir? Pierce. So, Mr. Pierce, we're gonna bring you back out here. You have another case, I think. Let's see, don't you?
yes.
You have
position
another
three.
case on the case where it was on 23 CP 217211, riot in a penal institution. Once again, that deputy is out. So the riot in the penal institution is going to be reset till June the 28th, but you already have a bond. We'll bring you out for your other case shortly, okay? And you weren't listening.
Right here.
Well, they were getting instructions.
Oh, okay. All right. So Mr. Pierce and Mr. Love. Mr. Pierce, you have another case besides this one. So 23 CP 217211, the riot in a penal institution is reset till June the 28th at 9 a.m. for the officer to appear. The officer's in training. You'll come out on your other case in a few minutes. Mr. Love, 23 CP 217211, same thing. Yours is going to be reset for June the 28th at 9 a.m., but you did get a bond last time. Ms. Correa, y'all argued bond, okay? So you're finished for the day. Mr. Pierce, we'll bring you back out later on your other case. Thank you. So you got Brown and Keith.
Brown and Keith?
Uh-huh.
Yes, Brown.
You can bring them out one at a time or together because we're just hearing them on bond.
All right, and then, Your Honor, that is all I had for right now. I will see you at night court if I may be excused.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Sina. Whatever you want to do, Sarge.
I think we all have. I might be Zoom. I'm trying to.
Usually on Tuesdays, it's the public.
So Brown and Keith, we're just hearing bond. So you can bring them out at the same time. Ms. Paul's on video. Mr. Bastine's here. You want it one at a time? Just tell me which one you're bringing. Either one, Brown or Love. I mean, Brown or Keith. Brown or Keith. Keith. Brown and then Ricky Keith. All right, we're bringing. Huh? Yeah, all of them are reset till June the 28th at 9 a.m., but we're going to hear bond on Brown and Ricky Keith.
He's in a no bond status?
Right, they're both in no bond.
Okay.
Mr. Bastine wasn't here last time, and Ms. Paul, why didn't we hear yours last time, Ms. Paul?
I don't think I was assigned to this case.
Ah, true. All right. You're Dorico Brown? Okay, this is number 4, 23 CP 217211, Dorico Brown, 112 days without indictment, riot in a penal institution, aggravated assault. Right now, it's in no bond status. Wow.
The defendant is a multi-state offender. He has 3 cycles in Georgia, but he doesn't have any convictions. He has 7 cycles out of Florida. He has a robbery conviction in 2012, burglary in 2012, stolen
Whisper.
property in 2012, and then lewd exhibition in 2017. And nothing further for Mr.
All
Brown.
right. Go ahead, Mr. Bastine.
Yes, Your Honor, this is the right institution, Your Honor, he's been in that no status for 106 days, well over 90 days. Can you hear
Excuse me, Your Honor, can I get him to use the microphone?
Oh, yeah, you got to spin that mic. Yeah.
Is it on?
Is it on green?
How about
Hold on. Is it on? Is the light green?
So it's green, that was just really.
How
Oh,
about
well, if sometimes you got to do this because it's real sensitive. Are you going up to the podium? Because that may not be working.
now? Yeah, I'll go up to the podium.
Okay.
It worked that time, Your Honor, but the podium is fine.
How about now? I could hear myself, so that's better.
Yes.
Yeah, Your Honor, he's been in there for 106 days, well over the 90 days. It's the Ryan Penal Institution that, and two other defendants already have bond, Your Honor. He might have something else as mentioned by pretrial there, but for this purpose, I think that he should be able to have bond, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Patton?
Yes, Your Honor. This defendant is entitled to a bond as it has been over 90 days without indictment. State would ask for the right and penal institution, the amount be $15,000, for the aggravated assault, nothing less than $20,000. Also, the conditions of no contact as much as possible with the listed victim and co-defendants. In this case, no weapons, whether man-made or otherwise, while incarcerated or out on bond.
Okay. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you're going to be working. No further contact with Donnell Pierce, Ricky Keith, Romania Love. Those are all co-defendants, and no further contact with the alleged victim, Sydney James. I think I already said no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no homemade weapons, shanks, anything of that nature. 15 in right on a penal institution and 15 on ag assault. We'll also take it up again on the 28th when we do the prelim. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Something,
Ricky
I
Keith.
have a Gog and Magog device in my eye. It was implanted in my eye. I'm letting you know I have a Gog and Magog device in my eye. It's been instructed me to do certain things, and I'm on the Gog and Magog website, and it's all kind of stuff going on with the stuff in my eye. I need my eyes examined because I have a Gog and Magog device in my eye.
Okay, we'll pass that on. Sarge, can you just pass that on to the,
Okay, all right.
We'll pass
see
it
you
on.
Back on the 28th. Okay?
all right, best of luck to you, sir. If you need that ex parte, just send it to me.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, now we got
I'll
Ricky.
see you later at 5.
All right, thank you. See you at 5. Ricky Keith for Miss Paul.
Okay, Keith, got it.
Your Honor, is this on a no bond status as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, this is Ricky Keith, 23 CP 217211, 259 days without indictment, but not necessarily on this. And it's right in a penal institution. He's in no bond status. Pre-trial.
The defendant has a total of 6 cycles. He does not have any convictions. All his cases, he has 4 open cases, including this one. I'll give you the case numbers if you need them. There is 22 CP 212789, and that is for terroristic threats, simple battery, interference with government property, obstruction of law enforcement officers, and giving false information to law enforcement officers. That was on 9/30/2022. And then he has a 22 CP 212749 case, and that is for 2 counts of aggravated assault That was on 9/29/2022. And then a 22 CP 212-748 case, and that is for aggravated assault and possession of a firearm or knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, and that was on 9/28/2022. And nothing further for
right.
Mr. Keith.
Go ahead, Ms. Paul.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Keith is 18 years old. He lives at 6655 Doran Drive, Union City, Georgia 30291. Your Honor, he did obtain his GED back in 2021. He does not have a college education, but he was able to complete a trade in construction while he was at the group home called the Broken Shackles. Your Honor, prior to his arrest, he was seeking employment. He actually had a job interview lined up, is what he informed me. He doesn't have any prior convictions, though he does have some open and active cases, Your Honor. He has a 3-year-old child that lives in Fulton County that he needs to be present and care for as well, Your Honor. It is correct that he hasn't been in jail for this particular charge for 90 days. That 90 days would be on June 25th. Nonetheless, we still request a reasonable bond in this case, Your Honor. We would request a bond be set for $5,000 on this count. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor, the state would be requesting that the court enter a $15,000 bond on the 91st day once this case is eligible or required to have a bond on it.
Okay, so we'll do no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with your co-defendants, Dorico Brown, Donnell Pierce, Romania Love. No further contact with Sydney James, the alleged victim. Gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. That'll be a $15,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Paul.
Thank you. That concludes my business before the court. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Likewise.
All right, so now it looks like we got
9 and position 2.
all right, y'all want to bring Mr. Pierce back out for position 3? Who's here on Pierce? Come on up. All right, you raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I swear.
All right, state your name, spell it for the court reporter.
Officer Jeremy Stanley, Jeremy. Last name Stanley, Stanley.
All right, place your hand down. Thank you. They bring him up. We will get going. All right, Mr. Pierce, if you look at the screen, you'll see Mr. Olive right there in the suit. So your lawyer's on Zoom. This is position 3, 22 CP 214678, Donnell Pierce, possession of firearm by a convicted felon. Right now, there is a $5,000 good bond as of May 30th. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Thank you, Your Honor. All righty. Hi, Officer Stanley.
Hello,
How are you?
doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. What is your title exactly? I want to make sure I get it right.
I'm a police officer with Roswell Police Department.
Okay, and how long have you been working with Roswell Police Department?
I've been with Roswell just a little over 1 year.
Were you employed there on or about December 13th, 2022?
Yes, I was.
And how did you become aware of the defendant in this case, Mr. Pierce?
It was on a traffic stop. I conducted a traffic stop and Mr. Pierce was a passenger on that traffic stop.
Okay, so why did you conduct a traffic stop? What was going on?
So I conducted a traffic stop in the city limits of Roswell for no insurance.
How did you know that there was no insurance?
So during patrol, I ran the registration plate of a vehicle that was traveling on the roadway, and we get GCIC returns on the vehicle, and it lets us know the status of the vehicle, whether it's the registration or the insurance.
Okay. You mentioned that Mr. Pierce was a passenger. Was he a front passenger, a back passenger?
So he was sitting in the back seat of the vehicle.
Okay. And where did you conduct this traffic stop?
This traffic stop was conducted in the area of Eves Road, EVES Road, and Holcomb Bridge Road.
And that's here in Fulton County?
Yes.
Okay. You just looked down there. Why don't you just let the court know what it is you're looking at?
I'm looking at the application for the criminal warrant in reference to this case.
Did you swear out that warrant?
I did.
And you swore out that warrant because you were the person who was there when the stop happened?
Correct.
You were the person who initiated the stop?
Correct.
Did you also initiate the arrest?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Was your body camera on at this
It
time?
was.
Was the body cam footage submitted for evidence?
It was uploaded to our Axon evidence library. So
Mhm.
yes.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So you conduct a traffic stop. There's a driver, and you said Mr. Pierce was in the back seat, correct?
Correct.
Was any other person in the car?
Yes, there was a female passenger in the front passenger seat.
Okay. So we've got driver, female passenger, and then Mr. Pierce in the back seat.
Correct.
Do you remember what side of the car he was on?
He was in the back right, back passenger side.
Okay, so back right. Okay, so if I'm the driver, back here.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
You said you ran a GCI, or excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. You said you did a traffic stop, and what did you learn in the traffic stop?
So I was speaking to the driver. I advised the driver that the returns indicated he had no valid insurance on the vehicle. The driver asked for time to get insurance on the vehicle instead of his vehicle being towed. While I was on the traffic stop, I asked the passengers for their IDs. Mr. Pierce gave me or told me he did not have a driver's license on his person, but he gave me his name and date of birth.
Was that the correct name and date of birth?
The spelling was off. And when I entered it into GCIC, it popped or it returned with a known alias for that person that had an active warrant. So myself and a backup officer who arrived on scene asked Mr. Pierce to exit the vehicle, and we began speaking with him about his identity.
Okay. Did you ever get his true and accurate identity?
We did. Dispatch was able to, after a few minutes, determine his actual identity.
Okay. Did you ask Mr. Pierce why he had been untruthful with you?
Mr. Pierce just kept advising that he had provided the correct information.
But it wasn't the correct information according to your check?
Correct.
Okay. When you run GCICs, does a picture pop up?
It does.
Okay. And the picture for the wrong name, did that yield any results?
So the picture for the wrong name did not match that the physical description of Mr. Pierce.
Of the person who was in front of you?
Correct.
Okay. So now that you've gotten the right name, did that driver's license picture match the person who was in front of you?
It did.
Okay.
It did.
Would you recognize that person?
I would.
Are they in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Please
Take their mask off, please.
Please identify whether he's on my left or on my right, if he is in here in an article of clothing.
He is on your right with a blue shirt with a white undershirt.
Let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Mr. Pierce.
All right, record will so reflect.
Okay, so you stated that the driver of the vehicle had no insurance and as such you were going to tow the vehicle.
Correct.
Is that typical?
That is typical. We have discretion if they're able to purchase insurance within, a short amount of time, then a lot of times we'll allow them to do so. And that's what I was attempting to do in this case. I was trying to allow the driver to purchase insurance in lieu of towing his vehicle.
Did he ever purchase the insurance?
He did. He contacted a family member who loaned him the money so he could contact an insurance company and purchase insurance.
Okay. So, was the vehicle towed?
No, the vehicle is not towed.
Was the vehicle ever searched?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Did you locate anything in the vehicle such as contraband?
When I was on the traffic stop prior to asking Mr. Pierce to step out of the vehicle, a backup officer was on the passenger side of the vehicle and advised me from outside of the vehicle, he could see a handgun directly in front of Mr. Pierce in the back of the seat, sticking out of the back of the seat directly in front of Mr. Pierce.
Like on the flap on the seat?
Correct.
Okay. Did you see the handgun?
I did not see the handgun, no, but I was positioned more towards the front A pillar, if you would, of the vehicle. So I did not have the same line of vision as the backup officer.
Did the backup officer describe the handgun to you?
He did not. He just advised me that there was a handgun sticking out of the back of the seat in front of Mr. Pierce.
Did you ask any of the passengers of the vehicle about the handgun?
I did. The passengers denied any knowledge of there being a gun in the vehicle or where the gun may have came from.
All three of them?
All three of them. And during the investigation, all three of them advised me they were convicted felons.
All three?
All three.
Okay. You said the handgun was right in front of Mr. Pierce.
Correct.
Did you ever see him touch the handgun?
No, I did not.
Did you ever see him reach for it?
No.
Did he ever indicate to you that he knew the handgun was back there?
No. However, with it being visible from outside of the vehicle, it would have been impossible not to see it while sitting with it directly in front of you.
Okay. Did you ever run a GCIC on Mr. Pierce?
I ran a criminal history while the driver of the vehicle was attempting to purchase insurance.
Okay. And what did that yield?
It yielded multiple felony convictions against Mr. Pierce.
Do you remember any of them? And I believe I gave you a copy of your warrant. You're free to refresh your memory.
So in February of 2009 in DeKalb County, Mr. Pierce was convicted for the possession of manufacture and distribution of marijuana within 1,000 feet of a school. So
Based upon that discovery and the fact that the handgun was in closest proximity to Mr. Pierce, is that why you charged him with possession of a firearm by convicted felon?
correct. He was the only backseat passenger and he had immediate knowledge of the handgun in front of him.
Are you post-certified?
Yes,
Were you post-certified at that time?
yes.
Did you recover anything else from the car, such as contraband?
No, I did not.
Okay, and you said you arrested Mr. Pierce.
That is correct.
Did you read him his Miranda warnings?
No, I did not.
Okay. Body camera footage, was that working at that time?
Body camera footage, yes, it was on the entire time, to the
Okay.
best of my knowledge, yes.
What about your dash cam from the actual
Yes.
police car? And were those uploaded?
Correct.
Okay. The two other people in the car, the driver specifically, did he tell you he knew of a gun in the back of his car?
He stated that he was unaware of any firearm in the vehicle.
And the female passenger, was she aware of any?
She was not aware. She advised she was not aware.
Okay. And Mr. Pierce said he wasn't aware, but it was in plain view.
Correct.
How long did you say you had been working at Roswell PD?
I've been with Roswell a little over 1 year now.
How many traffic stops would you say you've done? Approximately.
I've done over thousands of traffic stops.
Okay. Has any of those traffic stops ever had a firearm located?
Absolutely.
About how many firearms would you say that you have been able to collect during the course of your tenure at Roswell?
While at Roswell, probably a dozen.
Were you employed at another law enforcement agency prior?
I was.
Okay. And did your work there consist of interactions with firearms as well?
Correct.
How many would you say you've seen or interacted with?
Probably 100.
Okay. Do you know what type of gun it was that was located?
So it was a Taurus 9mm handgun.
Okay. I don't know much about guns. So what does a Taurus 9mm look like?
It's just your standard semi-automatic style 9mm handgun.
What color is it usually?
It's generally black, just with a blued barrel.
Okay. Would you say it's bigger than a ruler, smaller than a ruler?
I would say smaller than a ruler.
Okay. Okay, nothing further at this time.
All right, Cross. Oh, you're on mute, Mr. Olive.
Thank you. Good afternoon, officer. My name is Brian Olive. I represent Mr. Pierce. You mentioned that there were 2 other passengers and all 3 passengers said that they were felons and that they all denied ownership of the firearm. Is that correct?
Sir.
And was the firearm within reaching distance of either the driver or the other passenger?
They could have, if they would have entered the backseat area, reached the firearm.
I'm sorry?
If they would have entered the backseat area, yes, they could have reached the firearm.
Well, I'm saying, could they have reached around from where they were sitting and grabbed the firearm?
The driver could have leaned into the backseat and did so, yes. I do not believe the front seat passenger could have.
Okay. All right. And why weren't the other 2 passenger or the driver and the other passenger charged with a firearm?
Due to Mr. Pierce being the only occupant of the back seat and it being visible to Mr. Pierce, due to it being visible from outside of the vehicle, being in plain sight, it was more so in the possession of Mr. Pierce because he was the only occupant of the back seat.
Okay. And you mentioned that your body cam was your partner's body cam on as well, or the other officer?
Yes.
Okay. And has that video been preserved in evidence?
Yes, it has.
Okay. And you mentioned that you did not Mirandize Mr. Pierce.
To the best of my knowledge, no, I did not.
Okay. And was he ever questioned after, during, or throughout that process of being arrested?
After being arrested, I would have to watch the body cam, but I do not believe so, no.
So,
but I would have to rewatch that body cam footage.
I guess it's a different way for me. So the only time you were questioning Mr. Pierce and the driver and the other passenger is prior to any arrest. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. All right. All right. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, anything else on direct?
Nothing.
All right, thank you, officer. Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead with the argument.
I would argue, Judge, that the firearm was available to other people within the car. They too should have been charged with this. It would have been a matter of constructive possession based on the officer's testimony. I would just ask for the court not to find probable cause because it could have been the property of other people. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything from the state?
Yes, Your Honor. One quick second. Your Honor, I was just taking a look at the statute here. It says constructive possession required and necessarily ownership is not. Based upon that, I think the officer's testimony that the defendant in this case was the only one who had accessible reach towards the firearm. I think probable cause, enough has been established for probable cause to be found on the possession of a firearm by convicted felon. And as such, the state would ask that you find probable cause on this charge.
All right, I'll find probable cause on possession of firearm by a convicted felon. I addressed bond on May the 30th. You want us to go ahead and hear it again, Mr. Olive?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
All right. Wow.
Defendant has a total of 24 cycles. He has 2 failure to appears in 2008, possession, manufacture, distribute controlled substance or marijuana within 1,000 feet of a school in 2009. He has 2 willful obstruction of law enforcement officers by use of threat or violence in 2009, violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act in 2009, possession of firearm or knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies in 2009, receipt, possession, or transport of a firearm by convicted felon in 2009, receipt, possession, or transport of firearm by convicted felon in 2022, possession of firearm or knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies in 2022, a theft by taking in 2022, and a aggravated assault in 2022. And nothing further for the defendant.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Olive.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Pierce is 35 years old. He's a lifelong Georgia resident. His entire family lives here. He lives at the address on file, which is the 700 Sable Crossing, Suwanee, Georgia. He lives there with his fiance. He's got an associate's degree in carpentry. And he started, prior to incarceration, he started a remodeling company, which he plans on continuing once released. I'm sorry, I don't have the amount for the bond that was set, 5,000.
It's 5,000, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. We would ask for the court to reduce this. He obviously has not been able to bond out yet on this charge and the other charge that we talked about earlier. So we would just ask for the charge to be reduced to $2,500. So thank you.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Your Honor, this defendant has received a bond. 5,000 for a firearm charge is more than fair and reasonable considering this defendant's history. We would ask that you not lower the bond in this case.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. It has been 182 days, so I'll take it down to $4,000. Good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. See you on the 28th.
Permission to speak, Your Honor?
Ooh, I don't know. I don't think Mr. Olive wants you to say anything.
Well, Mr. Pierce, you have the right to speak, but I would strongly advise you not to talk about the facts of the case because oftentimes defendants will say stuff that they do not realize will incriminate them, but it actually does. So again, I would advise you not to talk about the facts of the case, sir.
I would like to speak anyways. This is a case concerning my life, and I would like to say something.
Again, you have that right, sir, but I would strongly advise against it.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, Your Honor. I heard the district attorney speak something about constructive possession. Well, the equal access rule bars prosecution for constructive possession to one person. If everybody had equal access to their firearms, if everyone had equal access to the firearm, Your Honor, everyone should have been charged concerning the equal access rule.
Okay. Okay, that's completely up to the DA if she's going to charge them. Thank you, sir. All right, so is the officers here, I know, on Armbruster, but what about the on White?
Your Honor, I did have Investigator Pauls reach out and leave a voicemail, and I haven't heard back from that. I would be asking for a one-time reset. I don't think this one has been reset before.
All right, you want to bring out Christopher White really quickly? Christopher White.
And I guess I'll be taking him on behalf of Mr. Lyle. But I would ask for a dismissal because there's no call, no show, no reason for the officer not showing up. Without that, if there were some sort of reason, I would consider a one-time reset. But if the court is so inclined to not allow a dismissal, then I would ask for a one-time reset only.
This is Officer D. Taylor.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, sorry. I didn't realize you were
That's
speaking to me.
okay. All right, let's see. This is position 8, 23 CP 217516, 69 days without indictment. Right now, he's got a $5,000 good bond. As of, I guess, April 27th. Possession of Schedule 2, criminal trespass, and possession of drug-related objects. Christopher Dion White. So go ahead, Madam Prosecutor. We're looking for Officer D. Taylor from APD.
Yes, Your Honor. I did have my investigator reach out and left a voicemail. I do believe she properly subpoenaed him. The state would be asking for a one-time reset so that I can locate the officer to testify.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Olive, for the record.
Again, I apologize to jump the gun there a minute. Yeah, I would request a dismissal for warrant of prosecution since there is no reason or, there's no call, no show, Judge. And those instances, I always ask for a dismissal. But again, if the court is not so inclined to grant a dismissal, then I would like to enforce a one-time reset, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, we'll give one-time reset. Ms. Watts?
Yes, Judge, that can be reset for June 27th at 1 p.m.
June 27th, 1 p.m. Sarah, we'll bring you back on June 27th at 1 p.m., okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. All right, now we got Demetrius Armbruster, last case. Come on up, officer.
Your Honor, would you mind if I just take 3 minutes to go to the restroom?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, and also, Judge, I would, I don't know if you're going to be considering bond for Mr. Armbruster, but I would need to get, if that's okay, one of my interns there to get his Ayala factors real quick.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
And that, yeah,
okay. 'cause
Either-
right now, he's got a $37,000 bond as of April 8th, but you can go ahead and go take a
Can I
break.
go in the
When
hallway?
he comes out, if one of you want to get the IATA factors.
I can go in the hallway? That message concerned me. We all heard that, right?
Yeah.
I heard it.
what was it?
If something happens to me when I go out of here, okay, I'm gonna be very upset.
Are they on lockdown over there or something?
Yeah, they got a few seconds to talk to her because she had to go to the little litigator's room.
Okay.
Scoot up for me.
And
Scoot up some more.
Mr. Armbruster, one of these people are going to come up here and talk to you and get some information from you to give to Mr. Olive, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
and Ms. Dillon,
Yeah.
if you would, take the microphone and move it away from.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
If you just push that little button, it'll turn from green to red.
Oh, you can do that too.
These ain't working out.
I think they've been pushed around so much that now they.
Yeah, you're right. I wasn't thinking, Judge. I apologize.
You come on up, officer, have a seat. Let's see. When you gonna start working at night?
You gotta vote. You don't say no. Don't say no. Yeah.
What, do y'all remember I'm sorry, what date was that the riot in a penal institution?
Oh,
Yeah,
so the date was the 28th at 9 a.m.
All right, thank you. I thought I've written it down, but I guess not.
All right, officer, if you want to raise your right hand, you swear affirm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, state your name, spell it for the court reporter.
Nico Flores, NICO, FLORES.
All right, this is 23 CP 217532, 68 days without indictment, Demetrius Armbrester. Possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, possession of cocaine, crossing guard lines of a correctional institution with prohibited items or substances, possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, giving false information to law enforcement officer, terroristic threats and acts, misdemeanor. Go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yep.
Hello, Officer Flores.
How you doing, ma'am?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Where are you currently employed?
Atlanta Police Department,
And how long have you been employed there?
8 years.
8 years. Whew.
Long time. Were you employed there on or about April 7th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how did you become aware of the defendant?
We were tracking a male who was wanted for vehicular homicide. He was on Instagram Live with the defendant, and we were able to narrow down the bus station that they were at, which was a 70 HE Homes.
Was the defendant wanted for vehicular homicide?
No.
Okay, so the person he was with was wanted for vehicular homicide. And so you were looking at Instagram Live.
Yes.
And you saw the defendant and the male wanted for vehicular homicide on Instagram Live.
Yes.
And based upon looking at that, you were able to locate him to where?
To 70 HE Homes, the HE Home train station.
Okay, is that here in Fulton County?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go to that train station?
Yes.
Okay. And you went to the train station for what?
To put eyes on the wanted individual.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you speak into the microphone a little bit?
Yeah.
Thank
Put
you.
eyes on the wanted individual.
Can you hear now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Did you locate the wanted individual?
Yes.
Did you also locate the unknown male who was in the Instagram Live?
Yes.
Was the unknown male in the Instagram Live, was that the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. So you located them, then what?
While still monitoring social media, we realized that both individuals had a firearm on their persons. Instead of getting on a bus I just exited my vehicle and walked past them, put eyes on them. Once I confirmed that that was the wanted individual, I notified the Take 9 units to come in and, enter the bus and apprehend the wanted individual and detain the second male.
Okay. How'd you know they had firearms?
Social media. They were showing themselves and, on the wanted individual, he showed the firearm in his waistband. And when he kind of like moved the camera to show the second individual that was with him, the defendant, you could see the firearm sticking out of his waistband as well.
Okay. So they were just on Instagram Live?
On Instagram Live.
What were they talking about?
I don't even remember.
Okay. All right. So you said you walked by to confirm that it was the individual that was wanted for this vehicular homicide, and you were able to positively ID that this was in fact him.
Correct.
Did you at any time see the unknown male?
Yes.
Did you identify him as well?
Not at that time, no. He was still unidentified.
Okay.
He was identified after Take 9 units came in and detained him.
But he was the same person from the Instagram Live?
Yes.
Was it only these two males in the Instagram Live?
Yes.
Okay. So you said you signaled for takedown units to come in, and then what happened?
Take 9 units came in, detained a wanted individual. Took into custody the wanted individual and detained the defendant.
Okay. At that time, did you ask the defendant who he was?
Yes.
What'd he say?
Brandon Parks, 102594.
Did you ever look up who Brandon Parks 102594 was?
Yes.
Was that the defendant in front of you?
No. It came back not on file.
Okay. Did you ever at any time figure out who the individual in front of you was?
Yes. The auto crime supervisor came on scene with a fingerprint scanner.
Okay.
And fingerprinted the defendant and Demetrius Armbruster, 102594 came up, and we ran it through GCIC. And it came back with a picture of the defendant with additional warrants out of DeKalb County.
So when you run GCIC, a picture comes up of the person?
Yes. Well, we utilize some software called Omnix, but it's through GCI. We the same GCIC hits.
Okay. Now, the picture you saw on the license, was that the person who was in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. You said he had additional warrants out of DeKalb County?
Correct.
What were those warrants for?
I don't even remember.
More than one?
Yes.
Okay.
Several. If I could look back at the report.
Please go ahead. Just use it to refresh your memory and then testify when you're ready.
Yes. Well, not in this report. I didn't add it to this warrant affidavit.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, we can move on from there. But you do remember it was multiple warrants?
Yes.
Okay. Because there were multiple warrants, did you detain the defendant?
Yes. At that point, he was in custody.
Okay. Did you read him his Miranda warnings?
No. I wasn't questioning about, his current case or what we had him on.
Understood. Did you do a search of him incident to the arrest?
I believe they just pat him down for weapons after they recovered the firearm before they put him in the vehicle. But I was still in, plain clothes capacity at that point.
But you were witnessing this?
Yes, after the fact, I came back and with my vest on and body camera on.
Okay. Where was the firearm found on the defendant?
In his waistband.
Okay. In the front, in the back?
In the front.
Okay. Was the defendant saying anything to you at this time?
He was very agitated. He threatened to beat our ass and spit on my partner.
Okay. Agitated, yelling expletives.
Yes, he was cursing at us because we wouldn't let him use his phone to call his mother, which I
Okay.
did, but I guess he wanted to call her again, but I mean,
Did he ever make any threats towards you other than beating your ass?
no, not that I can remember.
Okay. Did he ever state that I want to ask that question. Okay. You said that he stated to your partner, I believe, that he would spit on her.
Yes.
Did he actually spit on her?
No.
Did he ever mention anything else to you at this time?
No.
You need to take a look at your warrant to refresh your memory.
Can I?
Oh, please.
And this maybe it's the affidavit. Besides the point, he just started punching the side of the vehicle.
Okay, well,
Anger.
let's get there. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Did you said you ran a GCIC and you found that he was wanted out of DeKalb County. Did you ever see anything indicating a conviction status, a felonious conviction status?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about that.
He was a convicted felon out of DeKalb County for burglary in the second degree.
Okay.
And altering and forging motor vehicle certificates of title out of Newton County.
Did the defendant admit to you that he was a convicted felon?
Yes, he did.
Okay. So he was aware of his convicted felon status?
Yes. He
Okay.
was.
All right. So we're in the car now, and you just mentioned that he's, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Did you say he was hitting the side of the car?
Yeah, he was punching the door, inside of the door of the patrol vehicle.
Was he in handcuffs?
Yes, he had, well, I guess he slid his hand from behind him, underneath his legs to the front and started punching the front of the door.
Have you ever seen anyone do that before?
A female, but never a male.
But you said the action was removing it from under you to the front.
Correct.
Okay. And so what was he using to punch the inside of the vehicle?
His fist.
Okay.
Got like small lacerations to his knuckles.
One more time. I'm sorry to cut you
I
off.
said he was using his fist and he gave himself small laceration to his knuckles by hitting the door.
You charged Mr. Armbruster, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing the name, with giving false information to a law enforcement officer. Did you charge him with that because he gave you the initial name of Brandon Parks?
Correct.
You also charged him with possession of a firearm by convicted felon. Did you charge him with that because of the firearm in his waistband?
Objection leading. Rephrase, please.
Okay, I will rephrase it. Why'd you charge him with possession of a firearm by convicted felon?
Because he had a firearm in his possession. He had a Taurus, a G3 9mm with 15 rounds and one in the chamber.
Okay. Why'd you charge him with possession of a firearm by convicted felon?
Because he was a convicted felon. He's not supposed to be in possession of a firearm.
Okay. Why'd you charge him with terroristic threats and acts?
because he threatened to beat the officers at myself and my partner's ass and threatened to spit on my partner.
But he never actually did either of those things,
It was a
right?
threat of.
Okay. All right. So he's in the car. You get him to jail, then what happens?
Officer Farrar brings him into the city jail. And when the corrections officer was searching Mr. Armbruster, they located 6 crack rocks.
What's a crack rock?
Crack cocaine, cocaine cooked down, which makes it crack cocaine. I'm sorry, I'm not a narcotics expert, but it weighed in at 1 gram.
Okay.
And I was notified by Officer Farrar while I was at a warrant machine and just added the additional warrants.
Is the person that you saw on Instagram Live and the person who you had these incidents with in the courtroom today?
Yes.
You can go ahead and stand if you need to. Please identify whether he's on my left or my right and an article of clothing.
He's on your right, wearing an orange jumpsuit on the left side of that deputy.
Okay, please let the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant in this case.
All right, record will reflect.
Okay, so let's go back to the, you said he was searched, then crack rock was found?
Yes.
I think you said 6?
Yeah, 6 crack rocks.
Okay. Why was he charged with possession of cocaine?
Because he was in possession of a controlled substance, crack cocaine,
Do you know where it was located on him?
in his pocket.
Okay. Why was he charged with crossing guard lines of correctional institution prohibited items of substances?
Because he was in possession of 6 crack rocks in his pocket that he went into the jail with.
Okay. Did he at any time ever indicate to you that he had cocaine or crack cocaine on him?
No.
Did you ever ask him, did he have drugs on him? Or did anyone ask?
Me, no. I'm not sure if Officer Farrar did before he went to the jail.
Okay. Are you post-certified?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you post-certified at that time?
Yes.
Is there anything else that you learned during the course of your investigation that we've not covered here today?
No, ma'am.
Nothing further.
All right, Cross?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, officer. My name is Brian Olive. I represent Mr. Armbruster here.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, how are you?
Good.
You mentioned earlier that you were never Mirandized, Mr. Armbruster?
No.
Okay. So when you took his fingerprints, did you ask for his consent? Or did you take him forcefully? How did you get his fingerprints?
I don't remember if we asked him. What we asked him multiple times was Brandon Parsons' real name, and he said yes.
How did you get his fingerprints?
I believe we just had him exit the vehicle and put his finger on the fingerprint machine.
But you never, okay. So you don't remember if it was forcefully or if he was asked or consented or how that happened?
I mean, a supervisor did. I think I was right there, but I don't remember if it was like we didn't have to pry him, lay him down, and and everything was done. He was standing up.
Okay. And you mentioned that, did you search him before bringing him into the police station?
Can you repeat that?
Was he searched before being brought into the police station?
He was never brought to a police station. He was patted down for weapons on scene and then taken over to the Atlanta City Jail.
Okay. But he was just patted down. Was he ever placed under arrest? I mean,
Yes, once we figured out he was a convicted felon, yes, he was under arrest.
All right, so he was under arrest and then he was taken to ACDC or Atlanta City Detention Center.
Atlanta City Jail.
Okay, and then, but he was never searched prior to that.
I believe Officer Ferrara did, but I mean,
And they didn't find the drugs on him at that point.
I guess not.
How did you know they were in his pocket?
Officer Farrar called me and
Said that
advised
he found.
advised me that the detention officer located 6 crack rocks in his pocket.
Okay. All right, no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, anything on redirect?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
All right, stay safe out there, officer. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead with the argument.
Yes, Your Honor. See, the officer testified that my client was never Mirandized or given the opportunity to know that offering, it's unclear whether he was offered his fingerprints or whether they were taken, but that would certainly be considered potentially incriminating evidence in this instance. So he was never, again, we would ask all charges be dismissed on that. We'd also ask, he was taken into the jail prior to being searched apparently, and they found the drugs on his person after the fact. So it's not that he intentionally brought drugs into the jail. So we would ask for that charge to be dismissed on those merits alone. And finally, the state failed to establish that this incident occurred in Fulton County, Georgia. So we'd ask for all charges to be dismissed on that. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
I did state that it happened in Fulton County. I asked specifically where the martyr location was. And in terms of probable cause for all charges, the officer has testified that there was enough probable cause to meet for the possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, as the defendant is a convicted felon and he was in possession of a firearm, as testified the officer as he saw on Instagram Live, and he saw when he was there in front of him. For the possession of cocaine, crossing guard lines of correctional institution, prohibited items and substances, probable cause has been established as the defendant was in possession of crack rock cocaine in his pocket, which was found upon a search of him at the Atlanta City Jail. For the possession of firearm or knife during commission, again, probable cause has been established because the defendant was in possession of a firearm while carrying cocaine. For the giving false information to law enforcement officer, witness has testified that the original name that the defendant gave him was Brandon Parks, and as such, probable cause has been established. The terroristic threats and acts, probable cause was also established in this case when the witness testified that the defendant threatened to beat his and his officer's ass, and stated that he would spit on another officer. The state would ask that the judge find that there's been probable cause met in all of the listed charges.
All right, I'll find probable cause on each and every count, and he's got a $37,000 good bond. We'll go ahead and address bond.
The defendant has a total of 15 cycles. He has a altering, forging, counterfeiting motor vehicle certificate of title in 2012. He has a possession of tools for commission of a crime in 2017. And then he has 17 counts of burglary, second degree in 2017. He has 2 failure to appears, one in 2013 and one in 2020. And nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Olive.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. White is 28 years old. He lives, his whole family lives here. He's a lifelong Atlanta resident. He has a 3-year-old son who lives with his mother. He would live with his sister if he were to receive bond. He finished he went to the 9th grade. And he was working at his cousin's auto care and maintenance work for the last 6 months. And he would intend to return there if released. We would just ask for a reduction in bond, Your Honor, just a reasonable amount. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Patton.
Yes, Your Honor, this defendant has received a bond as such as is right. It is fair and reasonable considering the charges that are listed here. If Your Honor is inclined to lower the bond above the state's objection, we ask that it be no less than $30,000 with the provisions of an ankle monitor, 24-hour curfew with the exceptions of medical, legal, basic life necessities, and childcare if he has a child. No contact with the co-defendant listed in this case, the person he was on Instagram Live with, and a I think I said it all, actually. Oh, and no drugs without legal prescription and no weapons, which he's not supposed to have anyway while out on bond.
Do you happen to have the other person's name?
Yes, I'm gonna have to spell it.
Is that the Tije?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Tije.
I believe last name is Sorrells.
Okay. All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 70 HE Homes in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with Officer Moore Fife or Officer Flores unless it's in their official capacity. No further contact with your co-defendant, Tije, last name Sorrells, Sorells. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, or employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working, and also any basic life necessities. So let's see what's already previously done. All right, so we'll make it 12,000, 8,000, 4,000, 4,000, 500, and 500. 12,000, 8,000, 4,000, 4,000, 500, 500. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day. All right, I think that's it.
It is. And we're gonna get a transcript, Judge?
He's asking for a transcript, Your Honor.
Oh, Ms. Gandy.
Yes, I'll put my email in the chat for you.
Great. And my interns there, I will come pick you guys up, okay? Just meet me out in front of the courthouse. That way, if it's raining, I don't have to walk in it.
Great job, interns. All right. Thank you, Mr. Roloff. We'll see you guys. I'll see you tonight, Ms. Gandy.
No, ma'am, but if you need me, call me. I think you have someone else.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
You too. I got a quick question for you, Judge.
It's not all signed when you get the last one in.